Welcome back to Together We Can's monthly action items. My name is Rob Crain, and along with Pastor Richie Butler, we are co-founders of Together We Can. And this month, we recognize and appreciate Native American Heritage Month in the United States. It is a celebration which was first recognized with a day-long celebration in 1900 by the Boy Scouts of America and grew throughout the 1900s until Congress passed a week-long recognition in 1976. Then in 1990, President George H.W. Bush's administration acquired a joint resolution recognizing the celebration for the month-long period that we continue to celebrate today. In America today, there remain over 567 recognized tribes of Native Americans with 300 different languages being spoken among that collection. Currently, there are over 7 million Native Americans that make up about 2% of our population. There are 324 distinct recognized reservations in the United States with more than 140,000 Native Americans serving in our military. This month, we celebrate the contributions of Native Americans, and I'm sure there will be many facts you will learn for the first time this month. And everything from how our government was structured and up to the diet and foods that we eat, many of which were contributed by Native Americans. Benjamin Franklin even recognizing how the representative tribal nations governed themselves and worked together in representative form of government, and how those ideas and concepts were included in the structure of the United States government. We have a duty to look at the history as requested by many Native Americans today because of really the romanticized past that many of us grew up with, everything from the cartoons that were depicted on television when we were children to the mythology of cowboys and Indians. There are many false narratives that permeate our understanding and appreciation of Native American history. And in large part, that is because the true history is brutal and uneven, and it's hard to listen to at times, as I think you will find in a couple of moments in some of the contributions this month. But as we've learned in past monthly contributions, when we look at history and Together We Can, we do so with a non-judgmental eye. We do so to be responsible and respectful and transparent and honest with ourselves to learn the lessons of history so that we can not only appreciate what not to do in the future, but also to appreciate the consequences of that history and why we have elements of challenges today for Native Americans because of that history. So please take an open heart and an open mind in listening to that history and appreciating the basic understanding that Native Americans were obviously here and living off the land before settlers came about. And their way of life was structured by that land. By their agriculture, by their harvesting of food through hunting and otherwise. And when removed from their lands, displaced from their lands, limited in the amount of lands in which they could cultivate both agricultural and hunting, that it completely disrupted their way of life and in many ways left them unable to continue that way of life, leading to challenges that Native Americans have faced for quite some time in our country. And we're going to hear from champions and activists of Native Americans, artist and activist Greg Deal, as well as counseling psychologist and activist Jill Fish. They'll share their thoughts and their perspectives. And what you'll see as well in some of the data that is provided in our extras this month is there's this feeling of invisibility by many Native Americans, that they're just not really included in the U.S. society today. Others feel as if they're painted by stereotypes from false narratives in the past, and as we discussed, many false narratives from a romanticized past. And so they desire for us to not only bring a complete history to our self-education, but also to take a look at the plight and challenges of modern-day Native Americans and how we can go about bringing them more into a feeling of belonging, and that they are very much celebrated for the contributions of their culture as well as their ancestors. So it is an important month, and one that we don't talk about probably enough in this country, the contributions of Native Americans and our way of life here. And there is very much discrimination that has taken place from the outset of our relationship with Native Americans in this country, which really has played out in other relationships with other people of color that we address each and every month, but Together We Can. So an important month for us to take a look at our relationship, contributions, and history with Native Americans. We hope you learned something new this month, and we look forward to seeing you next month.